Mid-August 2024 with the Lovelocks of Sunninghill. Rough cut photo trails. And they will be rough cut. I'll start with a standard introduction. Here we are where we live at 22 Armitage Court, Sunninghill, with warning signs about fierce guard cats. You may see one or two. This is Robin's Corner, where GPS was tested from the late 1980s, down at this spot. Yes, the garden sculpture, a bit overgrown, that June got me for a birthday present. June and Samantha are just going off to tennis. That's the oak tree that sprang up from Lakecorn many years ago. Here's the robot boat, more about that in a moment. So, the women off to tennis. There's the promotion of the website that was a business many years ago. It's now hobbies and charitable causes. June's got the tracker with her on the keyring, and she's just checking out. Did you see that they've done that work? Good, isn't it? Been waiting for that for years. A decent cover there. I'm not sure whether
that's a temporary cover.
Yeah, maybe a temporary, but basically, hopefully, the final result will be much the same. So, yes, the photo trails will show one of the relatively urgent jobs compared with clearing up the garden and house is Snippy's robot boat. We'd like to get him off for another transatlantic attempt, and the main problem has been related to power. I've bolted it down at the moment. Anyhow, the photo trails show the nitty gritty of that, and this is the test rig, which was a bright idea and a means of testing both to death of a servo of a particular type and also the power. But photo trails will show that. Right, the ladies are off. So I'll come down here. Yes, that's the bicycle. I haven't had a chance to ride it. Little gearbox needs doing. Here's the cat forts. That was a project a couple of years ago now. Somewhere for the cats to hang out, and with armed mice. But there's warning signs. You'll see lots of warning signs. So, June and Samantha are off to tennis. And of course they're tracked by lots of different trackers, not just GPS trackers. There's optical tracking, all sorts of things. Right, so I'm now getting close to going into the house. Door's been left wide open, of course, and I have to point out from a health and safety point of view some warning signs we have here. Yes, for years it said closed circuit TV, hidden TV cameras inside and outside this house, sound and video is monitored in local houses and elsewhere. I must say, I'm obliged to say that everything you see here are obviously jokes, so they're not veiled threats or misleading information or anything like that. Yes, for example, no trespassing, violators will be shot, survivors will be shot again. There's an example of one of the many cameras. Yes, that covers that area. There's another one just in there. And yes, that's a recent toy, which is to get close-ups of the wildlife feeding on the peanut feeder, which was topped up not that long ago. Of course, all this appears on the photo trails. Right, I was reading warning signs, wasn't I? That might be quite important. Do not disturb. I'm disturbed enough already. That's my study in there. But this one is probably the most important because it's not just cameras. Home of mad ex-NATO scientist Robin Lovelock. Beware of web cameras and water squirters loaded with water, paint, acid, DNA tracer or nerve agent. Robin would not be mad enough to test these. Or would he? Just a joke, of course. Right, I think we can go into the house. Oh, I want to point this out. This is the camper. that June decided to get several years ago with battle damage. June said Robin did it, Robin said the wall did it, but the wall is okay. The camper is what tends to be used to take Snoopy's robot boat down to the coast for launch, and previous videos will show that. So now I think I can go safely into the house. Now, the main message, apart from giving potential criminals plenty of information to case the joint, is basically this games room is worse now because I've been doing work on the robot boat, and it's absolutely full of stuff. Yes, there's a robot boat there, and there's the so-called sailing saucer, the bright idea from Russia many years ago. So I've got to be careful, I don't trip over things. So that's my excuse, because I've been doing work on the robot boat. It's held up the process of getting the stuff cleared up. Yes, this hasn't changed much. This is a patio area. Again, probably a year or two back, I got to the stage of putting up these shelves. So presents we'd been given, like the 3 wise robins, the Lovelocks and things. We have a temporary place for those while we have a chance to decide where they go in the garden. Ponds dropping, yes, definitely a job for the winter months, but I thought I'd keep an eye on it. It might reveal a great big hole that we hadn't seen, or that has more likely opened up, because after I did the work last winter, it held its level brilliantly, and now it's dropping several inches a day, and it's not just evaporation. Yeah, coming down, there's the telescope I built while I was still at school. Not the metal work, but the important optics down the end. So coming down the garden, this is not so much a garden tour as the recent work that you'll see on the photo trails. So there's the sundial. So according to that, the time, can I see? Yeah, well, you can't really see because of course we've got other things like the roses. June wouldn't like it if I said, well, those roses need to be cut down because they're masking the sundial. But anyhow, apart from that, it's not too bad. Now, the main thing I wanted to show you is where some work has progressed in the middle of August, which is as you start to put things away. So for example, brushes are along there, hammers and files, and still more space, garden tools, and this is fairly recent. Yes, the power, which is everything painted white in the background so it shows up. And again, this is fairly new, which are these, I've got 4 sets of these drawers, and so it is a major exercise to find things and then put them in the right place, but at least we're getting to the stage where we've got the space to do it, and you can't go putting things away until you created the space for them. Pretty obvious really, common sense, and that's what's needed for anyone who gives us any help. And so far I haven't had much chance to get any. Right, that's the Gunner and Monte Carlo. That's coming up nicely. That's the one we've had for some years. I bought some new ones legally on eBay, but they don't seem to have come up at all. There's the hawthorn, that would have appeared. There's the so-called reservoir for the bog area, 3rd pond. June says it's a temporary pond. Here's the 2nd pond. We thought we might encourage ducks into it, but no, all overgrown, no chance to do that. We have to do the things that are priority. Boat takes priority at the moment, apart from other things higher priority than that, which are meeting people and things. Right, I'll give you a glance at the other rooms before we go into the photo trials. So, as I said, lots of stuff here. Solar panels are getting attention now, so it's sorting out the ones that are good from when I discovered the product in 2017, and the ones I bought within the last couple of years that don't seem to be anywhere near the same performance. Right, main reason for coming in here was Robin's Naughty Corner with a closed circuit TV and the TV and all the rest of it. Just a quick clip to show you. One of the trackers is the Go Top SOS tracker, and that shows June at the Royal Ascot Tennis Club. So we'll go out now and run into those photo trails. And after the photo trails, there's a couple of clips that were recorded, whatever it was, 18 months or 2 years earlier, be clear enough. Two subjects. One, the important subject of global warming and the prophetic words of James Lovelock. In short, you haven't seen anything yet. And then, I shouldn't laugh about it, by my experiences with the DVLA, because it's extremely inconvenient. But maybe somebody will check that out. Anyhow, now into those long photo trails. Sunday the 11th of August 2024, starting with Toady caught on closed circuit TV, sat up on the barbecue, I think he was, outside, and then later relaxing on the pond. Yeah, a bit of work done, still making good progress, creating space for tools and other things in the workshop area, and the early August photo trail video, set that off processing. It was going to take hours, so it wouldn't have been finished ready for YouTube until the middle of the night. So got on with other things. Yes, repairing of the hand torn by foxes, topping up peanuts, and June's watching the tennis. Closed circuit TV check. Yeah, there's the hedgehog coming for the peanuts, and there's a fox also on the top bridge, and a little mouse. So yes, caught on more than one type of camera. That's working okay. Decided to stretch my legs and take a walk down to the village, past Snoopy's robot boat outside in the front garden, into the Comrades Club, enjoy a 0% Peroni and the atmosphere, check the tracker, yes, anybody could see where I was, and make my way back home. And June's watching the tennis. Yeah, check the trackers, yes, anybody could have seen that. Time for bed, but I get up 2 or 3 hours later to set the YouTube video off processing. So that was it. So now into the photos in the order they were shot, including keeping a record of what's going on in the workshop area, and also the processing of the video. Wasn't a lot of editing to do, mostly it was waiting for the computer to process the video. And yeah, I looked out in the garden, June's relaxing in the sunshine, and I had a bit of a doze for, might have been an hour, no more than that. And yes, and there's a squirrel on the closed circuit TV. And there's Toady relaxing on the bridge. Listen to the Radio 4 News. Yes, I saw some bits have been chewed off by foxes, so put the boss stick back in the correct place for the map now, which is in the games room. A few snaps in the garden. Yes, looks like birds have had all those peanuts, so top those up. So I went round and also topped up the feeder. Yeah, great big tube. And yes, that's the front porch. And then upstairs, and top up that feeder, which has got a camera pointing right at it and looking down. And yes, it's all very untidy, isn't it? We obviously need help, and but it's a question of the right sort of help. Yes, wore myself out doing that. And yeah, I saw something. Oh yes, yes, that a feeder I'd forgotten, so went out and topped that up with peanuts as well. And then live I saw a pigeon coming for peanuts, and there's a hedgehog, and could be into closed circuit TV checks for the night now, unless that was live. Yeah, so yeah, different cameras picking up different things. There's the fox, or one of the foxes, new generation of young foxes, including on the top bridge just outside. And there's a little mouse. After there might have been a peanut or two left, but yeah, and there's a glimpse of him also, not so clear, on the camera covering the top bridge, triggering the PIR light as well. There's a young fox. Yeah, so that was 0342 when the camera switched to colour for the day, and now we're probably running back from midnight. Interesting pictures you get of the foxes. To 0433. I probably got that wrong. Not to worry. And yes, there's the mouse. Yeah. Yeah, bit blurred there. 1950, that was running backwards. So that was the closed circuit TV check done. And yeah, conversation related to pub lunch. And yeah, June's rustled up the evening dinner, and Toadie's having his. I take mine into the naughty corner in the lounge where the seating is far more comfortable, and I can also look out and see Toadie messing around and anything else happening out there. Yes, I've set that process in and made a guesstimate when that will be done, which was, I don't know, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, I think. So walking down to the village, lovely clear night, into the Comrades Club, enjoy my 0% Peroni and the atmosphere. Yes, smartphone shows. Oh, I bought a raffle ticket, I didn't win anything though. And then make my way back and into Armitage Court and up to number 22, down the drive. June's watching the tennis. So yeah, so that says it's 80.5% done. And yeah, checking the tracker, that was working. Shows me where I am. Just here. Time for bed. But I did come back down again. There's a blank screen there. Don't know what happened there. Had a bit of a mistake on it by the look of it. Anyhow, that was setting it uploading onto YouTube, which again takes time. And according to that, it's almost there. Oh yes, this is the next morning. And yeah, I thought just to complete the story there. So that video's up there. It's got subtitles with translation, so job well done. So that is the end of the photo trail. Monday the 12th of August 2024. First a summary of the photos before all the photos. Yes, Toadie relaxing, and also Bentley from opposite relaxing. And significant thing was publication of that photo trail for early August, and didn't take as long as last time. Yeah, check the trackers, usual routine. June's relaxing in the garden, lovely and warm it was. And Toadie is also relaxing in the garden. I did a little bit of work on the workshop area and also on the boat, and yes, checking out the voltages when the power is switched on, and I get into the stage of thinking it might be that I've damaged those batteries. So that's on the list to be checked. Back end of the day, things like closed circuit TV checks. Yes, foxes coming to the front porch and also to the back, and a glimpse of a mouse on the roof, all after Peanuts, and Toadie at about the time the camera's switched, and a glimpse of the boat, and time for bed. So that's the end of the summary, starting with that video now on YouTube of early August. Had a bit of a doze, catching up basically. What other shots we got here? Oh yes, that spare spot tracker of the same type that's going in the boat, and there's Toadie. And so the question is where to put that. So I put it out the front, and anybody can see where these trackers are just by going to the contact page. And that's Spot-T, that's the one that's in the boat. And then I looked at the GoTop SOS tracker, see if that's still working, and yeah, that looked okay. And what else have we got? Look around the garden, June relaxing, yeah, the pond's dropping, and yes, down to the sundial area, the gunroom Monte Carlo's coming up nicely, down towards the end of the garden, and looking up there, and there's Toadie relaxing on the bottom bridge, I suspect hoping that mice will pop out. They're not that stupid. Going around to the workshop area. Yes, it's getting to the stage where the main exercise now is finding all the different types of tools and materials and putting them in the right place. We've now created the space for them. It's all a matter of thinking before we do it. Oh yes, and I saw that we'd been damaged for ages, which is the end of June's little garden, so I did a quick bodge job, better than nothing, finding some scraps of wood, and yes, putting things back in the right place. Yes, wore myself out. Well, it was quite warm, so yeah, back inside. Yes, untidy games room. There's Alex's sailing saucer. That needs a lick of paint. There's Bentley on the closed circuit TV, which prompts me to go out and say hello to Bentley. Coming up to 6 o'clock. Yes, listen to the Radio 4 news. Check out the boat tracker. That's the spare spot tracker. Put that in June's car so we can check that better. June had a nice chat with Paul, I think it was, who rang. And yes, so I did more tests there, and I'm getting to the point where loading it with just a servo, I see the voltage drop when there's power applied to the main solar powered supply, and I'm realising it's almost certainly those nickel metal hydride batteries that need to be checked, and maybe I damaged them with an accidental short temporarily when I was wiring something. So looks like June's rustled up a burger for the back end of the day. I do the closed circuit TV check, first of all running from midnight forward. Yes, there's young foxes, new generation of those, sometimes more than one at the same time. Also on the top bridge just behind us, and there's a glimpse of a mouse on the roof. They're all coming for the same thing, Peanuts. And yeah, oh, there's me coming back, probably from the Comrades Club, and 1953 that was, I think. Yes, so yeah, glimpses of the boat and June watching the tennis. Time for bed. So that's the end of the photo trail. Tuesday the 13th of August 2024. Starting with a summary. Yes, quite a bit of progress was made on the robot boat, and basically sorting out a stupid problem Robin had created with soldering, and basically he hadn't done it properly. Yes, 2 dry joints, and also a bit of progress, if you call it that, checking out problems with the GPS logger. Haven't solved that yet. Other people might better help. And then it's pub lunch with the grumpy old men, with chauffeur being Stuart, at the cricketers at the bag shop. Yes, enjoyable food there. And then coffee back at Richard and Faye's, and then a bit more work. Yes, there was something sad that got some news in, and by the time this video gets published, more people will know about it. It was the passing of John, founder member of Team Joker. Anyhow, on with the work, if you call it that. And that's dinner at the back end of the day, and checking the closed circuit TV. Yes, foxes coming to the front and the back, sometimes more than one at a time. Oh yes, Bentley was there, probably right after mice, but Bentley was there at the same time as a fox, within yards of each other. Right, that's the end of the summary. So now into the photos in the order they were shot. I put the boat out at the front, and I didn't realise that no, the problem needs to be looked at properly indoors, and I thought it might have been the batteries, and I might have shorted the batteries, making a mistake. So that's what I was working on. Oh yeah, there's a squirrel. There's the women getting back from tennis, I think. And yes, the trackers show where things are. So that's the white Go Top tracker that June carries with her. And then there's the Spot T2, which is the spare spot tracker, the same type going in the boat, which I use for testing. And yes, that the camera decided to rotate the picture. So then the other Spot T tracker is the one that is staying in the boat, and that's working fine. So what else? Oh yes, processing of the video from the day before, Monday the 12th, doing a commentary like this, listening to the Radio 4 news, then looking at, oh yes, labelling those batteries before I start pulling them out, right hand side and left hand side. I thought maybe the batteries were I'd blown them up or something, but no, I found a blinking badly soldered wire, so the 0 volts wasn't connected to the batteries coming from the solar panels. So I did as good a job as I think I could soldering that properly, and then I thought, right, I don't want shorts happening, so I put some red tape around some of the wires, and so that seems to be all right now. That was in fact the positive side had the same problem on it. That looks like the women are on their way back from tennis. So yeah, I'll get on with other things, but keep an eye on that. So go out the front. Yes, and there they are arriving. And yeah, it probably took a few snaps of things like the tracker. And yes, the GPS logger that we're having problems with, I don't know where the problem is at the moment, but June took that on her trip, and that is all part of the process of collecting the data and checking it. Right, that's the planned trip to the pub with the grumpy old men. So I'm pretty well ready now. I put a jacket on. I understand they got aircon in there. Normally you say you wouldn't need it, but you never know. I've been to some places where there is aircon. There, Stuart arrives bang on time, and Yeah, and then there's a long conversation outside. Obviously, didn't want me to hear it. Well, of course, some people may have heard it. And then they come in. And so we're off, and I didn't take many pictures. Uh, and yeah, so that's the place we went, the Cricketers Beefeater. That was a news sign. That caused some amusement as well, especially chatting to the lady that was walking past. And yeah, coffee back at Richard and Faye's. And so, right, back into the house there, probably checked. Oh yeah, does the tracker show where things are? Yes, that's June's tracker. And then my tracker, yes, that one. And that shows the trip down, and then anybody checking would have seen how long I was spent at the Cricketers. And then back here. And that looks as though they're on their way back. So I go out the front, and I'm out there before they arrive. And what else have we got here? Just checking the trackers. Where we are. Yes, just here. So a bit more work, if you call it that. June's now relaxing out in the back garden in the sunshine. And I'm checking out that GPS logger, which I've taken out of the car, and then I see if I can download the data from it. Now, we know there are known design problems with it, like the date is completely wrong, but we don't know whether the problem is the particular loggers I've got there, or the software we're using to get the data out of the loggers, or my use of the software. Anyhow, I've got some sample data out. Still very confused by it, and yeah, there were lots of different sets of data. I thought they'd just be one file. Didn't understand that. Yeah, so I then said, right, let's erase the trip and set it from every 1 second to every 60 seconds. In other words, every 1 minute. Now, that's as we would use it at sea, but of course the significant thing is it's collecting data more slowly. Oh yeah, that's a few pictures I put in there, remembering John. And yes, it's found a member of Team Joker. And that video, I enjoyed watching that again. That's been there for some time. It's yeah, he did a demonstration drive around. So back onto the work. Yes, and there's another fault. That time it was the 0 volts. So that's the second one being soldered. Hope I did the job properly. Put tools back in the right place. Bits of polystyrene can be used for wedging things in place so they don't vibrate around inside the box. Yeah, I was consulting the yes, that looks a mess there, and it's a kind of a stop to stop the servo from overreaching and flipping, and that's been in the design for some time, but I thought no, I'd probably have to redo it differently rather than use the same material that had been used. So the solution was a bit of balsa wood strengthened with super glue basically and glued into place. And yeah, looks like dinner at the end of the day. And yes, looking at again some old pages reminded me of John and I working together to yeah get some publicity for his business and mine. Many years ago that was. And yes, so that's the logger which had been set to every 1 minute, and so now it's a question of putting that back in where the space is. And so that logger is back in the boat, powered from the solar supply. And yes, some of the old bits and pieces I'm keeping in that little box of bits in the so-called laboratory, old bits from the boat, and that included that stop. So, oh yes, June pointed out she could smell something burning. Yes, I'd left a soldering iron on, and look at that scorch mark on the plastic. Oh dear, naughty boy. Yeah, closed circuit DV checks, starting from midnight, running forward. Not all the visits, but representative. Young foxes coming to the front and to the back. And yeah, a couple of them at the same time there. And that's Bentley, and he's a few yards away from a fox. The fox is coming to have the peanuts, and Bentley's quite relaxed because he's watching for mice, I would imagine. Right, 4:33 when the camera switched. There's a little mouse caught on the roof. Foxes again. Yes, Samantha coming back from. So that was running back from midnight. 1951 GMT when the camera switched to black and white for the night. So that's that test done. A few snaps around looking at the boat, and June watching the tennis. Time for bed. So that's the end of the photo trail. Wednesday the 14th of August 2024. First the summary, starting with Toadie relaxing outside on the barbecue, I think that is, and Bentley also taking it easy. And what happened? Yeah, a bit of tennis there. Oh, updated the COVID page because it was a Wednesday, showing the graphs of total page. I call it the COVID page, that's when it started. And yes, bit of work on the boat. Yes, curious who's visiting the page, and I had a bright idea on how I could combine some things, which is testing the servo. Anyhow, we took a walk down to the Bansals and had a bit of quality time with doggy Romeo, Bao, Raj, yes, and the family, and then got back home. Yes, Toadie's waiting for us. Yeah, check the tracker, anybody could see where I was. And a bit more work on the boat. Yes, checking the current drawn, and the bright idea is I could use one of the old autopilots to test the servo, sort of see how many days it lasted. Anyhow, that was the closed circuit TV check. Yeah, mice and foxes appearing on various cameras. Yeah, time for bed. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the photos in the order that I shot them, starting with Toadie relaxing on the barbecue on the back patio. Yes, and yes, the pond's low, just for the record. And wander down the garden. Oh yes, I thought the pump that was in that bucket, and I thought I'd fill that up, but that was us. And so what's that? Oh yes, the COVID page. Yes, the key thing is the total deaths actually give an indication of all sorts of problems, even if COVID's not there. And that's just check-in visits to one of the pages. And yes, the record that was Sean from the States visiting the page when I made a posting. And yeah, so I checked how much current is drawn by a servo, and of course I've got some new servos have come in. Well, you can question about the quality of them, but the key thing is, yeah, I'm looking at the seller. But anyhow, I've labelled those, and one of them wasn't working, but yeah, that one. But they're all labelled, and the bright idea of the test, the duplicate was just something so you see it moving rather than the actual arm, and plug it into one of the old autopilots, and quite independently from the actual boat system. Yeah, I've just been called probably for, yes, to take a trip down to the village, checking the tracker. Yeah, the bright idea was combine testing of a servo to death with checking the power of the boat system. Yeah, so down the main road into the village and into the Bansals, and there's doggy Romeo. Hello, Romeo. Yes, that's Ammon in the background. And yes, and Raj. Yes, hello, Ammon. Yeah, so we go inside then because it was starting to rain a little bit. Yes. Stuff about Stonehenge on the news. Yes, there's Randy Renawan. Right, so we're on our back home. There's Bentley, and there's Toady on the roof of one of the cars. Hello, Toady. So I'm probably, yeah, just the tracker just shows I got back, that one. And so I just look at the history of it. Yes, that worked okay. Trackers can be useful for all sorts of things. Obviously the robot boat is one example. And yes, so that's all the junk. And right, doing some checks on current drawn just to confirm that it matches up what I'd written up, and the voltage, and make sure everything's labelled for testing and packaged away. So put some of the things in the so-called summer house laboratory. Yes, looks like peanuts need topping up on the bridge. Lots of things going on at the same time. So 4.96 is the volts of the solar powered supply from the boat, and by running a separate autopilot with a servo off of it, doing two things: testing the servo, see how long it'll survive, and also the solar powered system. And that's quite independently from the electronics and things inside the boat, because that's switched off for those tests. Yeah, so that's just checking what I'd purchased. Right, June's rustled up food. I take it into the naughty corner in the lounge. Yes, the boat system's still running there. And the closed circuit TV check for the night, starting from midnight running forward. Yes, visit of young foxes on the front porch, and also the top bridge at the back, through till 04:49 GMT when the camera switched to colour for the day. Then running back, and there's a little mouse on the roof, and there's a fox cub, I reckon, not much more, and the camera switched at 1947 to black and white for the night. And there we go, live is a fox on the front porch already. And yeah, shows up on that ring camera that's right down low looking at the peanuts. So time for bed. So that's the end of the photo trail. Thursday the 15th of August 2024. First a summary before the photos in the order they were shot. Yes, Toady and Bentley guarding the premises, including the robot boat on test at the front, and it was checking the voltage of the solar supply by testing it with an old autopilot stuck on the side. And we took a trip out to home base to pick up some plastic shelves, if that's what you call them, organisers I think, and I bought 4 of those for £80, and one of them is going temporarily in the games room, and I'll start clearing stuff into that. Another one or 2 will go into the workshop area, and one in the laboratory, the summer house. I didn't work out what the problem was with the locker, but by documenting it, then maybe other people out there can help. And closed circuit TV check at the back end of the day. Yes, foxes coming for the peanuts on the front porch and at the back. June's rustled up dinner, and yes, checking on the boat, and time for bed. So that's the end of the summary. So now in the photos in the order that I shot them, starting with Toady just outside the games room, and yes, checking voltages, and yes, that seemed to be playing up. So I thought, no, best put the boat outside where you can get some sunlight and brighter light rather than being shaded by the house. So that was what I cobbled together based on an old autopilot So quite independently from the electronics inside the boat, we can put a typical power load on the solar power, check that, and at the same time check the reliability till destruction if necessary of a particular servo. So I started with one of the 3 servos that had been ordered off eBay. Anyhow, it was all working well. And yeah, checking the trackers, that's the tracker that's in the boat. And yes, it shows that it's moved from the back to the front. And of course anybody could get to that position either from the contact page or from the Snoopy Robot Boat page. And June's checking the stock, and my Windows PC had said that there was only one in stock, and her smartphone said, oh, there was lots, like 15 or 21 in Bracknell. And then I checked again, and my browser, perhaps it needed refreshing or there was some other problem, but there's plenty of stock. So we decided the place to go was Bracknell. I measured up just to confirm in the place that I might put these shelf units, and before I bought them, because rather than just get 1 or 2, I thought, yeah, I may as well get 4. Checking voltage again, and yeah, it looks like a lunch there based on what we had. There's the planned trip to home base at Bracknell, and there's Bentley sat in the garden guarding the boat. Did another check, that's all working. And that GPS logger, I still haven't found out what the problem is with it. I thought, yeah, I could take it with me, but rather than in my pocket, probably stick it in the front of June's car. Listen to the Radio 4 news. Yes, there's another tracker in the boat, which is the so-called spare Spot T2 tracker, and that's something that can be checked at the same time. And so we're off to Bracknell. There's Bentley crossing the road as we leave through South Ascot, under the railway. Yeah, a few landmarks en route there, and to home base at Bracknell. And what the photos don't show is the area that I looked at first, and the lovely lady in there said, no, the best place is probably the workshop area. Took us straight to it. That shows you the importance of people. June stopped for petrol just nearby. Pricing was not unreasonable. Coming back through Bracknell, including where the Met Office and the college, where Met Office was and the college is, through the middle of Ascot, and past the railway station and the McLaren place, back through South Ascot, the Swindley pub, to the roundabout, and yes, checking the logger. So now I've put that onto Robin's Corner reference position, so when I do offload the data from it, I should know what to look for in terms of where it went. Right, unloading the car. One of the sets of shelves can be put there in the games room, and I can gradually start tidying up stuff. There's checking the voltage of the spare Spot T2. Said it was low, but it was still working. There's the logger. Plugged it in to offload data, and it said only 1% of memory used, which makes sense. But when I was looking at the files, they looked like old ones, and I couldn't even find the data that had been recorded on the last test. Lots of things that didn't look right with it, but yeah, it could be how I'm using it or that particular unit, but that's why you document it, and sometimes somebody out there can find the answer. Oh yes, lovely exchange with Alexi, and yeah, reminder there of the sailing saucer. Yeah, so every now and again I'll check the voltages and that servo's still working on test, and document some of this stuff for anybody to see, including the test that's now underway. And June's watching the tennis just for a change. Toadie is relaxing now. It's getting later in the day. Do a closed circuit TV check for the night before. Yes, there's young fox coming to the front for peanuts. And there's lots of slugs and snails crawling about on the feeder that's on the roof. There's a fox at the back. And there's Bentley decided to come over. Caught on camera. Yes. Is there anything worth finding here, like a little mouse or something? Yeah, end of that check. 04:37 GMT when the camera switched to colour for the day. So we're now running back from midnight. Yes, usual pattern. Young foxes. And 19:29 GMT when the camera switched to black and white for the night. So that check is done, or set of checks. A few snaps in the garden, including Toadie relaxing on that soft chair. And look through the window, there they are eating. They had called. So I take my food in to the naughty corner, where the seating's more comfortable. Oh yes, another 3 servos from a different source. And what I liked about that, very professionally done. Yes, they all checked out and worked. I've got to reliability test them. So I've labelled them. And what I liked is it had the full details on each package. And it didn't take hardly any time to check the trading address. And and then you say, no, there's lots of guys with that name. But so anyhow, I like openness, and we'll see how the product goes. Of course, it's nominally the same product, it's just the source may vary, not just the distributor. But anyhow, that's the time for bed. That's the end of the photo trail. Friday the 16th of August 2024, starting with a summary and Toadie relaxing on the sundial, probably about midday, and Bentley from opposite, who spends a lot of time over here. And yeah, a bit more work on the boat, mostly testing, using the old autopilot to run power and test the servo and the power at the same time, and a bit more tidying up. You're making use of the work I've done in the workshop area, the lab, and eating at the back end of the day, watching the closed circuit TV, foxes arriving, check out the boat, June enjoying tennis. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the photos in the order they were shot, with as good a commentary as I can give. And yeah, 4.64 volts on the power system, giving it a continuous load, which is typical with that old autopilot, so it's not wearing out the stuff that's inside the boat. And took a few pictures. Yes, the the pond pump is working okay now. You can't really predict it, even though the water's still dropping. As I've said many times, it's a job for the winter. So, right, exploiting those shells we got, and I think Samantha's mentioned in the roadblock. And I had a chat with a guy on duty there, and Jamaican roots, and so what else we got? Yeah, it's a case of lots of things going on in parallel, like doing the commentary like I am now for the day before. And what else? Oh, check out the trackers, including the ones that are going in the boat, or the same type. And that's their visit to Longacres. They wanted to buy a Prezi for Saskia, I think. And that wasn't behaving as I expected, but then I realised it wasn't in the car, it was out the front on Robin's corner under test. So put it into a bit of sun to charge it up, and that can go back in the car. Then there's the spot tracker that's in the boat, and that shows it at the correct position. And what have we got? Yes, June's now back and relaxing, getting a bit of sunshine in the back garden. Yes, just after 20 past 12 British Summer Time, 20 past 11 GMT, Universal Time, GPS time, which is how sundials work. Not using GPS, of course. And yes, so now Toadie's decided to check out the so-called third pond or bog garden area down the very end, probably hoping to catch fishes or mice coming for a drink. Yes, a few more snaps down the garden, including the gunnerer. The only one that seems to be surviving, the original one. The ones we planted haven't come up, or at least not flourished. Yes, a few more snaps around the garden, and of course I got 4 of those boxes, and it's a matter of exploiting them. And that's probably showing the pump. Yeah, that's the area where the washing is. And yeah, so in the so-called summer house laboratory, I've got those 4 cupboards, so 3 of them are now out in the workshop or laboratory area. Oh, June's rustled up lunch, scrambled egg on toast with smoked salmon. And yeah, that water fountain's working. Samantha's looking down from the roof. Not sure why she went up there, probably got some good reason. Pointing out Toadie relaxing down the end of the garden. And right, finding places to put things. So that extension cable that we used to run from out of the summer house when we were doing things like mowing the lawn now hangs up more prominently outside. And yeah, so now putting that, whatever you call it, organizer, I think they call it, workshop organizer, into a good place. And I thought, yeah, a bit of wood there to make it all more secure. It might do, he says. And then another one outside, and this is the workshop area I'm talking about. And what else have we got? Yeah, so that's the route in. That's looking up the garden. 4, yes, warm work. Have a relax. Check out the spare spot tracker, and that shows that's working now. I think they've gone for tennis from their earlier trip. And yeah, checked out the other trackers. Those working okay. Oh yes, a dialogue with Alexi. He sent a photograph of pigeons bathing in a puddle, and which compelled me to go out in the garden and take some photographs, including of the unoccupied pigeon house, or whatever you call it. It's got a name. And that's a brief glimpse of the sailing saucer built from his bright ideas. And yeah, so that's that. Oh, it looks as though one of the trackers says they're on their way back from tennis, so almost back home. But I go out just as they're arriving, and there's Bentley. So check the voltage. Yeah, 4.64 volt. That's after it's had a bit more sunshine. Then we had a visit, and I flagged this up. Oh crikey, a year or 2 back there was a video about it. But the good thing is, guys come out from PJ Kerry, was it? Anyhow, so something may be done about that. Yeah, so listen to the Radio 4 News. Yeah, starting to put things in the right places. The smaller things like servos and radio control stuff and robot boat electronics, and of course tools. Basically rearranging them occasionally where we've got a better place to put them, which is more practical from the point of view of immediately seeing them. And yes, that water pump's working. And I thought, well, shift it carefully a little bit so that if the pond continues to drop, it's not going to go dry, and hopefully it'll keep running. Gives us information. And yeah, top up the peanuts and open a new box of peanuts and put the spare bag around the corner, so that is out the way. Yes, that's checking out okay. Voltage has gone up a little bit, 4.59 volts. It's normally 5 volts, but the key thing is should run a good bit below, and we find out. Oh yeah, chat with Paul. Yes, that was good. And right, what else have we got? Oh yeah, looks like the dinner in the evening. Robin sat in his naughty corner, but you can also look at the closed circuit TV and do a check. There's the foxes coming. Yes, at the front porch after the peanuts. Young ones, of course. We've got a new generation of young foxes now. There's two at the same time. One relaxing on the doormat. Yeah, taking it easy. And a glimpse of a bat. Look at the back, flying past. Pretty sure that was a bat. And there's a fox on the top bridge, just outside lounge and games room patio doors. Oh yeah, and dragging that arm. Yes, naughty boy. Yeah, he probably was in the way of him getting at the peanuts. Yes, so camera's switched at 0440 GMT for colour for the day, so I'm now running backwards from midnight. Yes, there's a rather mangy looking fox, and that looks like me going out to check the boat. So camera switched at 1937 GMT to black and white for the night. So that's pretty well done. Quick glance at the boat. Yeah, check the voltage. 4.54 roughly. Hovers around a bit as it's drawing load. Yes, that is still going. The servo's still working. So back inside, out the back. June's enjoying tennis. Time for bed, so that's the end of the photo trail. Saturday the 17th of August 2024, starting with a summary. Yes, that's Bentley and Toadie, you'll see later. And Bentley was guarding the robot boat on test in the sun, and the clever idea was that test rig, I suppose you call it, using an old autopilot on the main power, so you don't wear out anything inside the boat. And yes, that test thing worked on the little servo, but it also showed that the battery needs changing. Yeah, it's a bit of work creating space, and we took a trip out to home base at Wicks, that was, at Bracknell. Got a plank of wood, and you'll see how that's going to be used to make a little shelf over the top of that unit of drawers. And yeah, video WhatsApp chat later in the day, and Toadie relaxing as he always does while I do the closed circuit TV check for the previous night. Yeah, young foxes coming to the front. Check the boat. Yes, dropped down to 2.21 volts. So that shows that something needs to be looked at. So that's the end of the summary. And so here's the photos in the order they were shot, starting with Bentley guarding the robot boat. And what do we got next? Yes, the women are both playing tennis, so the trackers showed that, and that's the spare spot T tracker, that's working fine. And probably checking the, which one's that? Oh, the white SOS go drop tracker, and that seems to be working fine, so it gives me a bit of warning. They're on their way back, so I better look busy. Yes, I'll be coming back to there. So go out there, take a look at the boat again. Yes, that servo's still running backwards and forwards. I'm testing a new batch of servos that came in. And the women arrived back from tennis. And let's take a look at the tracker. That's the white Go Top tracker. We're testing these things to see how long they continue to work. That's my tracker. No, that's June's tracker. Shows her back home now. And a bit of a delay before we get the spot tracker, but that's still working fine. And now looking at the one that's in the boat, and of course that shows it at the right position. Now I'll pick up the multimeter to go and check a few voltages. So the main power is 4.35, and that was roughly middle of the morning, late morning I think. And yes, processing the video for the day before, putting a commentary on it like I'm doing now, but that was for the Friday. And what else? Yeah, the spare spot 2 tracker. Oh, now there's a pussycat, and I thought it was it's the one from behind us, so he's sloped off. And yes, there's the spot 2 tracker, spare one. So I put that in a bit more light and did a bit more work, if you call it that, including painting. So that bit of plywood is now up there at the end as somewhere else to hang things highly visibly. Listen to the Radio 4 News. Yes, or a pigeon arriving on the closer key. Oh yes, that was sent to me. I won't say too much. Probably said too much already. But anyhow, it was good, the end result. That had been several days previous to when I got the phone call. So out in the garden again, and what else we got? Yeah, lots of things going on at the same time. Keeping an eye on the voltage, which is slowly dropping, and you probably saw from the salary that salary the summary that by the end of the day it dropped right off. Right, so it looks like a walk down to the village, probably to join June at the bandsaws, and yes, enjoy coffee and time with Romeo and Raj. Hello Raj. Yes, so just a few photos on the route. Oh, that's in Chapman's, 4 candles or 4 candles. I asked about that, and yeah, a little present he'd been given from his sister. So I really like that. Anyhow, I made my way back home, and yes, the robot boat's still there, of course, with Snoopy on duty, and that's still running. The servo that's on test, and that looks like June getting home or coming home. And then look at my tracker. Anybody could look at these on the contact page. Yeah, that shows where I'd been, including I walked down Charters Lane out of curiosity, and yeah, ran the car for a few minutes to make sure that was still running. And June took me out for a trip. There's a few landmarks on the route to Bracknell and to Wicks, because I was after some wood, and I only needed a plank of it, but it was worth the run. Coming back, that used to be the Met Office, and it still is the college there. Past various landmarks, through the middle of Ascot, past the railway station, into South Ascot, the Swindley pub, into Armitage Court. Oh yes, they've cleared that blockage now. The road had been blocked, and it's all been resurfaced, just these white lines painted on it now. There's the plank of wood unloaded. There's Toady watching what I'm up to. Hello Toady. Yeah, I'll have a look at my tracker. Yes, it shows the trip to Wicks and back home. Oh, video WhatsApp chat. So we're into the evening now. Have my ice cream cornet. Yeah, the chat goes on for a while, and I had trouble with the camera shutter, and it turned out it just needed powering up. So some of these photos are not in a logical order, they are in the order they were shot, because I basically recharged the camera and then went out to show what work had been done. And so there's that shelf put in and painted. And what else have we got? Yeah, just having a quick look round. It's And there's the new bit of plywood painted white and started to hang things up on it. Name of the game is making sure it's very easy to find things, and it's difficult enough when you put them wherever they were yourself. So yeah, video WhatsApp chat still going on, and I'm back in my naughty corner, and yes, Toadie's joined me. Hello Toadie. I'm doing the video chat. Sorry, video chat? Closed circuit TV video check for the night. Running forward, there's young foxes coming to the... That one didn't look very friendly, but I think he got on okay. And through till 04:42 GMT when the camera switched to colour for the day. So now running back from midnight. I think it was only really foxes on that night that I noticed. No hedgehogs this time, and occasionally you get other animals. So that was 1943 GMT when the camera switched from colour to black and white for the night. Went outside, yeah, checked the boat. Voltage down to 2.21 volts, so that has now dropped, and obviously not enough to power the autopilot, so something needs to be done about it. June's watching the telly, time for bed. That's the end of the photo trail. Sunday the 18th of August 2024, starting with a summary. Yes, that's Bentley, the cat from opposite, on guard duty of the robot boat, where Robin continued to do a little bit of work tracking down where we have power problems. And there's Toadie caught on the closed circuit TV, and we took a trip over to Gary and Saskia's, a few snaps around their garden including their pussycat Sebby, Sebastian in full, and then Jim wanted to go to Marks and Spencer's for the food shopping, so back home, and yes, a bit more work if you call it that, including making more shelf space in the workshop area. Closed circuit TV check at the back end of the day. Yes, the usual visits, and yes, Bentley was there at the same time as a fox, and there was a hedgehog and a glimpse of a little mouse on the flat roof. Pretty well the same pattern, and caught on the ring camera the fox after the peanuts, of course. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the photos in the order they were shot, including Toadie having his breakfast, and Robin. Two things going on in parallel there. One is reliable test. No, wrong again. Reliability testing of a servo, and the also checking the power, and that's dropping now. So somewhere in the robot boat solar power supply there's a fault which I need to track down. Loads of slips with the words I'm saying in this commentary, but there you go, I don't have time to do it properly. So that's one activity that's going on. And yes, glimpse of a squirrel. That was simply out the window, out of the games room, which may eventually get tidied up. Now we created space, so that looks as though that's the planned trip. And I was looking for any places that you might buy batteries off the shelf, but no. So we're off now. June's driving, Samantha's tucked in the back, and I'm in the front. So past a few landmarks, which are mostly pubs, past what was the Jolly Farmer, I think, Sandhurst, past the Elephant. So on the A30, past the Ely, and getting into Yateley, and Little Vigo, and greeted by Sebby, their pussycat, or the surviving pussycat, because there were two. There's Gary with Sebi, there's some roses, so a few snaps around the garden which they've done a load of work on. That fountain works when the sun's out on the solar panel. And yes, so Sebi's prowling around checking us out. I saw those feathers and I thought, did he have a go at a pigeon? So June also took some photos of them. And yes, yeah, just checking them, make sure they're okay. And Sebi, nobody checked with Sebi whether he was happy about the photos that had been taken. So we're off again, and past the Anchor Inn and the Ely along the A30 and into Marks and Spencer's, where I found one seat and I managed to sit and wait for a little while. Then I ended up going to the car, waiting in the car till June and Samantha got back from picking up a few odds and ends to eat, and past the yew tree, I guess, which is what that pub was named after, past the Royal Residences, past the Beefeater or Cricketers at Bagshot, and into Armitage Court and back home. Yeah, not much shopping there, and of course I can take a look at the robot boat and the testing, which is mostly things like checking voltages of batteries. Yes, take the meter out of the games room. Yeah, 5.08 volts, nice and healthy. About 12:05, 4.38 volts there. That's getting lower, but still enough. And look at the pond, yeah, that's still going. The pond pump has stopped. Still not quite sure why it starts and stops. Probably just needs priming, but it's all a matter of time. June's relaxing. The sun in the back garden. I'm prowling around there and into the workshop area, which is round at the side of the summer house, and where every now and again you see some materials or tools and you say, that belongs there, but then of course you find it's fairly easy to put up some more space for hanging things. Right, recording a commentary on the day before the video photo trail like I'm doing now, and yeah, back out. So all these things are going on in parallel. It's just a case of every now and again you check things like that. Is the current drawn, and yes, so the problem is probably somewhere in there, but I haven't got to the stage of taking those batteries out yet in case there's a leaky battery, but those checks seemed okay. Batty says yes, that's probably where we won't know until we actually disconnect them and check them out. That could be a leaky battery or more than one. And Bentley's watching that. Yeah, no, that was it. This was the big surprise. That short circuit, or whatever you call it, current draw, rather than going through some resistance, was 10 times less than what I thought it had been for years. So not sure what that's about. That's all down to whether those solar panels are enough. Had a bit of a doze. Yes, woke up. And I noticed on the closed circuit TV the bird feeders need topping up, so out on the roof, that one, yeah, put a few peanuts in there. That's within close sight of a camera. Then the top bridge, put a few more peanuts there. And Toadie's relaxing on a soft chair down that bird feeder, which is down near the second pond. I popped a few peanuts in there as well. Yes, Toadie still dozing. So back into the patio area and the front porch. Yeah, make sure there's enough peanuts there, up above the level where a cat will normally jump, and top up the bird feeder tube. And out to the boat. Yes, checking that. and 4.8 volts, so that's okay. Yeah, the main the boat system switched off at the moment. I'm just seeing how quickly the power comes up. So that's charging up the battery that was on the test rig. June's rustled up the dinner for the evening, so I take that into the naughty corner and able to watch live pigeons. And there's Toady climbed up onto the barbecue unit, and there he is looking out the window. I just decided to get down as I was taking that picture. I went down the garden with him round the side of the pond, the top pond that is, and yes, that's on charge. And yeah, not sure. Yeah, camera decided to rotate that picture. Closed circuit TV check, and yeah, foxes, young ones of course, got a new generation of foxes. And Bentley was sat on the doormat watching the foxes coming rather nervously, but yes, yeah, it was that cat, better keep an eye on him. But they still came for the peanuts, and Bentley just watched them. And the hedgehog, of course. I wasn't sure, I hadn't seen the hedgehog the night before, but did then. And there's the top bridge just out the back, and visits by the foxes there, through to when the camera switched to 04:49 GMT to colour for the day. So I'm now running back from midnight. Yeah, there's a very young fox, and the hedgehog, and yes, glimpse of a mouse, just see its eyes really, but you can see a bit more there. There's me doing a bit of work, if you call it that, on the robot boat. And there's Toady sat on the barbecue. 19:35 GMT is when the camera switched to black and white for the night. And there live is a fox coming for the peanuts. And then I had a look at the ring camera, which is low down, covering the peanuts. Yes, and you get quite nice pictures of him from there. So that worked quite well. Yeah, June's watching that thing about Sicily, Michael Patelio, I think it was. And yeah, a few snaps of the boat outside, and time for bed, so that's the end of the photo trail. Monday the 19th of August 2024, starting with a summary. Yes, that's Bentley, the cat from opposite, checking out my work related to testing of solar panels, which on the boat, and that's one of the most important activities. Yeah, checking voltages, trying to puzzle out what's different. 583 milliamps is the sort of current that were delivered. That's half an amp by the ones that I found in 2017. So that's one of the activities, checking voltages, and all the time of course Bentley's keeping an eye on what I'm doing. Yeah, a little bit of work in the garden. I did actually fix, that was all falling apart, which was the bug palace. But the most important stuff is making progress in preparing space and starting to move things into the right areas in the workshop area and sheds. Yeah, closed circuit TV check, wildlife including foxes and mice caught by the camera. Check out the boat. Yes, at least the solar lights are working. Ladies are watching tennis and other things, so time for bed. So that's the end of the summary. Now into the photos in the order they were shot, starting with going down the garden. I was probably looking for something, and then I discovered that that was all falling apart, so I fixed that. And yes, basically starting to put things in places where particular tools are in the same sort of places, so easy to find, but takes time. And just a few snaps looking around the patio area, and in the untidy, and that battery, yes, I was impressed that the labels were very good. said the addresses of where it was manufactured, imported and distributed. But of course the key thing is testing the product. So that is going into that test rig on the side of the boat there just temporarily, which was the bright idea to check out two things, which was the power of the main with the same sort of power consumption autopilot, but also checking reliability of things like a servo tested to destruction. That's what it started off as a test of, and then I suddenly found more significant problems with the power of the boat. Some were fixed, which is simple, silly mistakes of soldering, but then you start to suspect, has one of those battery packs developed a short or a leakage? It's all down to testing. But the solar panels are the biggest worry. Yeah, so those two panels there are labelled left hand side, in fact they're the rear solar panels, and when I actually get the spare ones out and check, it's a very little current coming out of it, completely different to not only what was claimed but also in the ones I tested back in 2017. So I'm looking again at my pages that have been there we are, 583 milliamps when there's simply like a short circuit current, and that's the size. So I'm looking at other ones. So I've ordered some similar performance panels in the same ballpark, even though they're smaller, just to confirm that you can buy panels of that sort of capacity. And yeah, lots of untidiness. Oh yes, put a post in up about progress, or lack of it. And what else have we got there? Well, that's Bentley keeping an eye on what I'm doing, probably checking the solar panels there. Yeah, I didn't go for that. It was looked too uncertain in terms of when I'd get it, and I had to log in, I think, rather than just pay in on something like PayPal. Right, still doing tests, and of course the photo trails with commentary tend to give a bit more nitty gritty. So this one isn't, is it? You know, that's the, you can always freeze a frame and read the details. So the tests I did, they look all right. I had to snip off the connector rather than end up with lots of adapters everywhere, which I didn't have to hand anyhow. And yes, there's Bentley coming through, and yes, he's probably coming into the house. Be a surprise if he's, yes, that's it, coming in for some food. And June's rustled up food, so I take that into the naughty corner where I can do the closed circuit TV check after having the food. And yes, there's a fox, young fox, coming to the front porch, and there's a glimpse of a mouse on the roof looking back up at the camera. There's a fox, yeah, doing the same. And yeah, so that was 04:47 GMT when the camera switched to colour for the day. So now running back from midnight. Yeah, fox on the front. I think that night I didn't see a hedgehog, whereas the night before we had. And yes, there's a mouse. Hello, Mr. Mouse, or Mrs. Mouse. There's me checking the boat. And 1934 GMT is when the camera switched to black and white for the night. So that's the closed circuit TV check done. That's probably Samantha just got back from tennis in the evening, and yeah, checking whether that's still running. And the women are watching tennis on the telly. Oh yes, the blog just looking at any visits. Yes, we'd had visits from the friends in Belgium and places. So what else now? With all these things, it's best to think first. Yeah, time for bed, I think. That's the end of the photo trail. I warned you they'd be long photo trails, So I'm now going to go into the material that was shot earlier, starting from here. Yes, that's the little camera that's used. Yes, you see that expensive painting occasionally at the end of the trails. And I think the earlier clips were shot from about here. Now what I put on the screen, because global warming is rare in itself, it's something that's been on my grumpy page for years. The remarkable James Lovelock, who passed away on the 26th of July, his 103rd birthday. I'll read out what this says here. This has been on the grumpy page for years, not long after the publication of his book, Revenge of Gaia. We can't stop global warming, but we may delay it by a few decades to give us time to prepare for its effects. Vast areas of the world, including as close as continental Europe, becoming arid desert, shrinking of habitable areas of the planet to much smaller parts of the planet, closer to the poles. The Earth will then only be able to support a small fraction of its present population, and there will be a need for massive migration. Places like the UK will remain temperate a little longer, so be an attractive destination. We need all world governments to cooperate to prepare for this inevitability. Also to agree things like reduce use of fossil fuels to give us a few more decades to prepare. And then it goes on. The above is not a quote, but how I remember what James Lovelock said in his book, The Revenge of Gaia, etc. That's been unchanged on my site for years. And right, well, the other thing I should mention, yes, retired, happy and spending that kid's inheritance, is for some time now I've not been able to drive due to, well, several mistakes at the DVLA. And what I will say is that I have new evidence of what happened inside the DVLA, which I won't publish yet, because I'm still waiting for the reply to the letter which was delivered by recorded delivery to the head of the DVLA and also other people. So I'll put in at the end of this long video the video that's gone up, me talking about the DVLA, and basically in summary it says I don't want anybody to get into trouble, and that is definitely the case, and resigning is too easy. Problems need to be fixed. But quite honestly, that is a minor thing compared with all the other things that are going on in the world, not least wars, and of course what's in the background and very important is global warming. So let's run into that. Back in 2012.
Seen the launch of a transatlantic sailing attempt this morning in a model boat. Retired NATO scientist Robin Lovelock launched his Snoop Loop from Barton-on-Sea towards the Bahamas. It's already been tested over 5,000 miles on a lake in Berkshire. The model will be steered and tracked through a satellite system and by Snoopy, of course, and it should make the crossing in 6 months, if it survives, that is.
The most important thing of the lot, of course, is Snoopy the Viking, the skipper. I don't think he'd make it otherwise. We've also got another bit and piece here. This is a GPS logger that logs the position every 15 minutes. That was back in 2012. The guy that put this material together, including the live broadcast and what went up on the BBC website, is Ben Moore.
I just worried for Snoopy. Sport now and Hampshire.
Right, on to the next topic. Right. Now, I'm going to do this all in one take. All unrehearsed and unscripted, so sorry about that. What I'd like to happen, if anybody picks up on the DVLA story, is, as I say, nobody getting into trouble, and that's a genuine request. But when they find flaws in procedures where they don't cover certain things, be good if those are fixed. What I think would be useful for anybody looking at the DVLA and perhaps helping them is, first of all, their organisation chart showing the structure. Yes, it's well known who the head of the DVLA, remarkable woman, looking at her CV, and relevant to this story is the head of the health part. But it would be very useful to see, even if names aren't attached, obviously the names can be attached where they're public already, is how many people in each branch, how many people are reporting to how many. So a simple tree would help. I suggest that first of all. Then, perhaps even more important, is how many people working for the DVLA, even if you don't identify the individuals, are salaried by the DVLA excuse me, directly, as opposed to contracted through an agency or a business. That is very important, and we've seen what's been happening in places like the NHS for years. So that comes into the equation in terms of whether money is well spent, and of course the DVLA collects a lot of money, and there are probably other things as well, but as a starting point, I'd hope anybody that responds to this, I can't afford to get overloaded, we've got other things to do, many other things to do, and we'll be taking a holiday, that'll be public, yes. I'm tracked everywhere by different things, and in fact, if anybody's paranoid about it, anybody who's tracking somebody or looking at somebody's probably seen already. But at the end of the day, there's me wittering on, which is one of my main weaknesses since I was a little child. That's why if you put things up, clearly be careful what you put up, and often it can do some good. I'm now in the kitchen, and June's rustling up some food in the microwave for Samantha, and here's Samantha, and of course there's tennis on the television, just for a change. So, oh yes, point out, holidays in we're going off to Sicily again soon, and into the hall. Yes, nice expensive paintings here. Yep, expensive little pocket camera, not expensive. And through into the lounge and out to wrap up this video by saying, look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy what days we have. Yes, it's now middle of March 2024, and the font's changed quite a bit. I'll have to change the copyright statement at the end, but the message is the same. Look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy life while we can. Oh yeah, my hair's grown a bit since then.